There was silence in the room. Yeah, I see people are joining. 8, 10. Let's see if we reach the same number as participants. That's going to be the first success of the day, of the webinar, not of the day, sorry. I went to the gym early this morning. I've had my first success. Yeah, welcome everyone who's joining. We'll just wait a few more minutes until we've reached at least the same number of attendees as panelists. And I think then we'll get started. Actually, while we wait, what you can already do, if you're a member of the audience, you can just introduce yourselves in the chat while we wait for more people to join. You can just put your name, where you're from, and why you're here today. And we do have the chat, exactly. Just put it in the chat. It's just nice for people to know who else is on the call. I do see some familiar names already. It's a small world. It really is. Yeah, and my colleague Sadia has already also mentioned in the chat that you're very welcome to introduce yourselves. And there's the first introduction. That's great. Thank you so much for making a start, Isaac. We really appreciate it. I should probably also mention that the discussion will be in English, but we will have French interpretation available on the call. So if you would like to listen to the interpretation, then you can choose the interpretation button at the bottom of the screen and then select whichever language channel you need. I'm being told that it is useful to mute the original audio just so that you don't have the original audio in the background. And you can then also switch from English to French language channels at any time. It might be useful for people who prefer to follow the discussion in French rather than English. Oh my God, and we have 18 attendees now, which is more than the number of participants. Woohoo! No, panelists, sorry. This is exciting. So things can only go upwards from now on. We're very, very excited to see all of you. Okay, all right. I should also let you know, I'm just doing all the housekeeping now. I should also let you know that we're recording the Zoom call, and as with all our webinars and most of our talks, it will then be available on the GLI YouTube channel and on our website, probably sometime next week. You can also, during the webinar, if you're a member of the audience, you can just write any comments or questions in the chat. There is also a Q&A box function, which you can also use if you would like to pose any questions to the speakers directly. It should be on the bottom of your screen. And we will then pick questions after the discussion. We have dedicated Q&A time. Okay. Now it's 18 panelists, 18 attendants. Isn't this isn't this exciting? Okay, yeah, let's just get started with the formal part of the program then. My name is Jennifer Philippa Eggert, Dr. Jennifer Philippa Eggert, which is very long-winded, so just Jennifer is fine. I am Senior Research Fellow at the Joint Learning Initiative on Faith and Local Communities, another very long-winded name, so we just say JLI for short. A lot of you will know JLI, and you will know that we're an international network of researchers, practitioners, and policymakers who produce and disseminate evidence on religion in international development, humanitarian action, peace building, and really all other kinds of community work that is aimed at bringing about positive change for people. And we have been in the last 3 months, we have been working on a research capacity sharing project that we are really, really excited about. It's the project we're presenting to you here today. It focused on PVE, preventing violent extremism, youth and interfaith. I should probably add that when we say PVE, we mean PVE in the broader sense of the term. So our participants, they come from PVE backgrounds, they have experience in PVE as such, but also in conflict transformation, conflict prevention, peace building, but all their activism and practical experience is linked to aspects of conflict and peace. Yeah, we worked with the participants over 3 months. We provided research training to them, and then we met on a weekly basis to accompany them as they developed and planned and then implemented small research projects. Yeah, so that's the whole capacity sharing. That's the whole capacity sharing element of the project. We didn't just want to provide training, but we wanted then also to give participants an opportunity to try out what they had learned theoretically in practice. And it's been fascinating. It's been a fascinating process. You'll hear more about it in a moment from the participants themselves. They conducted research on various aspects of PVE, conflict, peace, youth, and religion. They're based all over the world. I think we have, I think it's 12 countries. We have 12 participants who went through the entire project. And I think it's 12 countries in Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East that are represented. So really, really excited to tell you more about the research they have been doing, the research papers as well that they have been writing, and that will very soon be available on the JLI website. So today we will be hearing from our participants. They will share their experiences. They will speak about the methodologies and the findings of their small independent research projects. And each of the researchers, as I mentioned, examined the intersection of PVE, conflict, youth, and faith. But then each of the projects explored a different theme. Yeah, so we have some that focus on education, others that look at mental health, and yet others that take a closer look at art and storytelling. And we will be hearing from all of them today. And as I mentioned before, there will be time for questions and answers at the end. So that's the introduction to the project, so that you know what we're speaking about here. I see that my colleague Sadia has put the link to the website in the chat. We're really, really excited about that. Our team put a lot of effort into building like a really nice project page where you can find out more about all of the researchers, right? All of the participants in the project. But also about what their personal backgrounds, but also about the projects that they conducted, and you will then towards the end of the month you will also be able to read the papers there. Now I will hand over to our friend Regina Mutiru from Kenya in a moment. She is going to share a video that was prepared by the participants. Before I do that, just a few very quick words about Regina and her background. She's worked in Kenya for over 10 years on issues related to peace and gender and grassroots development. She also has thematic expertise on inclusion and social development. She holds an MA in Peace, Conflict and Development from the University of Bradford in the UK, and a BA in Development Communications from St. Paul's University in Kenya. And she's also a member of FemWise, which, for those of you who don't know, is the African Union arm of Women in Conflict Prevention. So, Regina, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Jennifer. Hi, everyone. It's awesome to see all of you today, and I'm so excited for this project that we've been working for over a period of time. And now we are here to share what we found out in our small findings. Okay, sorry. Sorry for that. So at this moment, we decided to do something unique, something small for all our participants, something that is going to excite you. Rather than us talking all through, we decided to do a small video where you can see us in action. So Sadia is going to share the video with all of us. Please enjoy the video. We usually have fun while doing the work, so have fun with this video. Karibuni sana. That means welcome in Kenya. Kenya.
We can't hear the sound.
No, my name is... My name is Regina Mutiru. I come from Nairobi County in Kenya. I did my research in the area of mental health. I specifically looked at the impact of peace work on the mental health of young women peace builders in Nairobi County.
My name is Mohammad Abzal Zarwani, and I'm from Afghanistan. I have done my research on the impact of PVE education in Afghan society, especially among youths. I have done this case study in Kabul University, which is one of the biggest universities in Afghanistan. Thank you so much.
My name is Mamani Ashau from Niger Republic. My current research is focused on the youth, the prevention of violent extremism, and the inter-religious dialogue in Niger.
Hi everyone, my name is Sheku Anachundu. I work with Youth Initiative Against Violence and Human Rights Abuse, YAVA, Nigeria. My study is focused on the use of intergenerational storytelling in the prevention of violence extremism, a study of the PVE extra projects.
Hello, my name is Joseph Tongo from the Democratic Republic of Congo. My research project is the role of religion in the prevention and the fight against community violence in Eastern DR Congo.
Hi everyone, my name is Ali Raza Khan and I am from Pakistan. My research title was Role of Educational and Learning Environment on Youth Behavior towards people of diverse religious beliefs and backgrounds.
Hi, this is Christmas from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. I did a research with the title, The Assessment of Awareness of Violent Extremism to Young Clerics in Tora region. The purpose was to measure the understanding of violent extremism to young religious leaders. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Tira Khadija from Italy. My current research is focused on how Italy's far right viewed by Muslim women in Turin.
Hello, my name is Patrick Buddy from South Sudan. My research topic is the role and contributions of young people to the signing of the 2018 agreement on the resolution of conflict in the Republic of South Sudan.
Hello, this is Motis from Ethiopia. My research area is the role of Interreligious Council of Addis Ababa in peacekeeping in the conflict resolution.
Hello, my name is Ali Mahmoud. I'm from Lebanon. My research will be about the impact of hate speech on young people who are active in interfaith dialogue in Lebanon.
Great,
I
thank
hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Dr. Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Regina, and to all our wonderful participants. Aren't they beautiful people? We will now hear some reflections from Ali Reza, and that's before we then dive into the research projects. Ali is one of our participants from Pakistan, and he wanted to share about some of the challenges that he encountered while doing his research. Ali, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Jennifer, for this. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be part of this project because for me, it was my first time doing such kind of research. I did one in my university, but after that, that was my first time doing research related to peace-related or peace and conflict-related things. However, I was working for peace and conflict-related social work and other community-related interventions, but never went to the research. So it was a learning process, as well as it was a good experience. I will share some of the challenges that we face based on some of my topic that I had and some of the good things that we received. So the first challenge that I faced when working for this research was that people. The thing is that why I did this research is that we lack data related to the how young people interact with other diverse religious people and how education system is playing into this role. So what I find that when we were doing research, many people, because of the majority, find it a bit sensitive topic. And some of the challenges we did even sometimes when we had these young people gather, one participant kind of stopped in between for completing this survey because he finds or she finds it that this survey is something that is against or is talking about other beliefs that is against his or her beliefs. So that came up from other as well. For instance, sometimes when we were doing it in person or online, when we sharing with some people online, we were not getting that. It's because sometimes they reply, oh, it's a bit sensitive, or we cannot, or it's a kind of something we cannot talk about. So that's that because of the sensitivity of topics related to the PVE, we find something that some people were not as engaging as it should be. So that was a kind of resistance. And for the best thing, I think, for the minorities perspective, as we try to balance it out, when we were trying to get such survey where we were asking about how minorities feel, we get that the minorities were very open up. Apart from those questions that were in the survey, they were more expressive. They were wanted to share more things that was actually not even a part of the survey, that we don't have this extra questions to say something different. So, but we recorded some of their inputs, and they were happy that such kind of discussions that don't happen on the ground are actually somehow happening either in the form of survey and it might be later on in the form of the publication. So I think with these both, one good example and some challenge, it is something that how we can actually, this research studies actually can contribute to the discussions related to the PVE and peace in our society. So that's the very positive thing that we get from one community members. So that's just a little bit of an experience from my side in Pakistan based on it. Thank you, Jennifer.
Great, thank you so much, Ali Reza. Just as a side note for the participants, when we were preparing the webinar, people were saying, we were thinking about where to put this this intervention by Ali Reza, and then participants were saying we should put it at the very beginning so that people appreciate the efforts that we made while conducting this research. All right, so what we're going to do now is we will go straight to the presentation of findings. And we have grouped this part of the webinar thematically. So we will start by looking at the theme of arts and storytelling. We had 2 participants who conducted research projects that explored these themes in different ways. That's Sheku Chungdong from Nigeria and Khadija Tirha from Italy. And I'll hand straight over to Khadija, who in the next 10 minutes is going to share her experiences, her and Sheku's experiences.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? I hope yes. So thank you, Dr. Jennifer, for giving me the floor. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here, to be part of this project. So today I'm going to present our research project. Our studies were conducted, next slide, please. Okay, our studies were conducted in Italy and Nigeria. Regarding the Italian context, the study aimed to highlight the perspectives and thought on far-right party in Italy of 3 Italian Muslim women. I interviewed 3 different Muslim women in Turin, and we see how these 3 paths converge somehow when it comes to spirituality, social activism, representation, and intercultural dialogue, and how is relevant religion, Islam, and Muslim community in the public and political debate in Italy, and also how far-right party use the topics such as migrants or refugees as a political propaganda. When it comes to the Nigerian study conducted by my colleague Sheku, the study aims to highlight the significance of intergenerational narratives on the prevention of violent extremism. In addition, this study examined the significance of the approach of the Youth Initiative Against Violence and Human Rights Abuse to prevent violent extremism among youth through the storytelling, a study on PVE extra project. Next slide, please. Regarding the methodology that we decided to use in both studies, we use key informant interviews and a focus group where it helped us to collect opinions, attitudes, and experience in a more transparent manner in order to get our results. Next, please. Next slide. Thank you. Regarding the first findings, the study conducted in Nigeria showed us how the specific storytelling methodology contributes to the prevention of violent extremism among youth. In Sheku's study, we found that the stories were able to establish a strong linkage between the storytelling methodology and the place of inspiring forgiveness that impacts the prevention of violent extremism. We also found how people started to create some relationships, such as the friendship in their community, and how the opening of segregated community started to impact on prevention of violent extremism. In the end, it has been found that the youth peace activism inspire more action towards the prevention of violent extremism. In some cases, we found that our respondents have shared with us their personal stories, and somehow they also believe in us, and they shared some emotional stories, such as this quote that says, "For me, I thought my next visit to this community will be for revenge, but I feel deep relief that I'm visiting the community on a peace note. I'm really grateful for the different path this organization brought to me." Next slide, please. Okay, regarding my findings, the result that I found, I think that the first step that we have to take as an Italian Muslim women in our community is to recognize the problem, the dangers of the far right party that can have in the entire community, not only regarding the Muslim people or the religious minority that are still struggling to make their voice heard and to claim their rights. I think it's very crucial and important to recognize Islamophobia as a specific form of discrimination and violence that affects Muslim women more than Muslim men. And also, I wanted to end my presentation sharing with you a personal quote that I really feel close to my experience as a Muslim woman. The quote says, "My greatest aspiration and dream that I have cherished since childhood is to become a social justice lawyer. My mission is to assist people who need the law on their side and fight injustice and inequalities in Italy. I will do my best to make this country a more inclusive country, and there will be no kind of far-right party that can stop my will to pursue my goals." I completely agree with my respondents, especially on the last part, because we as a Muslim Italian women, we believe that there is no far-right party that can stop us, and we will continue to do all our best in order to transform our country in a more inclusive society, in an inclusive country. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Khadija. I mean, we have been working together since September, but it's always so fascinating to hear about the research and the findings again. So this was a presentation of Khadija's and Shiku's research that focused on storytelling. This was the first theme that we wanted to share, with you. And there is a second theme now that focused on education. We had 3 projects in this category. One by Mohammed Afzal Sarhouni, from Ali Reza Khan, who you've already met, from Pakistan, and Patrick Godi from South Sudan. Mohammed is from Afghanistan, and he is now going to share their experiences and their findings with us. Mohammed, over to you.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
I'm very excited to be here. First of all, I would like to thanks from all the parties, GLI team, GIZ, iDovers, to support us in this wonderful journey. We got lots, and now I will be talking about 2 education themes. Before I start, as we know that extremism is a global phenomena. No one born an extremist, and nowadays everyone distract with such activities, and it's increasing day by day. And there are many factors and actors which is involved in violent extremism. As an educator or as a researcher, we have more responsibility, and we can play a key role to avoid from violent extremism. But me and my colleagues from Pakistan, Ali Reza Khan, we have found that education is the most holy way that education can do, which can do a lot to play for a role in PVE. So because education can bring inclusion, resilience, and also it can provide safety for others and bring partnership among the society and proceed the procedure for the PVE. So we have 2 projects. I will go first for the first project that was the impact of PVE education in preventing youth from violent extremism in Afghanistan. It is a case study in Kabul University, which is one of the biggest university in Afghanistan. I have conducted 369 interviews from the current student of Kabul University as a sample size. The purpose of this study is to explore in analysis that how PVE education can play the role and how the participant in decision to help how to cope with the preventing violent extremism among the youth and also among the society. because Afghanistan is continuously suffering for more than 4 decades from conflict, and also we are looking and we are wants the long uh, peace, so to have positive peace among across the country. Therefore, Afghanistan more than 60 population is under age of 25, which is a very big, long, very big generation is young generation, and therefore we need to work with the young generation to avoid from further conflict. So uh, to engage the academics in educational institutes such as universities, school, higher education, madrasa, and other education sectors, we need to have a PVE education strong system. This was the first research or a case study uh, that I have done. There is no other research on PVE education in Afghanistan. The result indicate a very positive view that the PVE education can help the society, education actors, and all involved education sectors to avoid from further conflict in society. The second project, which is done by Mr. Khan in Pakistan, especially in Multan, he reviewed an analysis on the role of education, educational curriculum, and interaction with the diverse people on youth behavior toward people of the diverse identities in South Pakistan, especially in Multan. He considered he's saying that, as we know, Pakistan is one of the multicultural and polarized society. And because of the geopolitical position, as well the participation in proxy war as potentially fertile land for the violent youths. So Pakistan is also have more than 65% population under 30. So one of the large youth population across the world. So it's very important to that youth issue are rapidly moving in Pakistan and all the world into debates in public spaces and also in other spaces. So it needs that lots of donors and government working in this sector. So he combined two projects. One was the High Voices conducted a review of previous research, and new survey he done in both in online and also in person. He analyzes the youth behavior toward people from other religions, their interaction in learning with the teams. He conducted 366 interview from young generation from very diverse background. He used the randomly sampling method, especially in South Punjab, which is called Multan. The result shows that the conversation about the right of the people from the religious minorities still face backlash from the young community. Also, the surveys show that they are still polarized, with the most young people thinking that the education curriculum are still not improved. So related to that, they need lots of advocating and also lots of work to do. He found many research recommendation, but I will just, because of the time, I will just mention a few of them. First one, that in the previous study, they found that most of the response expressed a high level of identities with the religious value. And also in the light of increasing of the extremism in now among the youth, in the past there are different approach happen, but uh, the most successful approach was to reduce violence behavior among the youth. That was to work on the belief of the others through education, like to work with the young generation to manage their anger, resolve the conflict, and also develop their approach and improve their social skill. One of the other recommendation was this, that including the youth community, including youth in community, it will decrease the violence among the community, because the youths will take responsibility and they will contribute a lot in the society. So that will be the case to reduce the violence, because large of the population is young generation over there. So he says his one of the other recommendation was this, that to engage the university and college to provide the courses and also on peace and conflict resolution, will engage the youth in an interactive workshop to avoid from further conflict in the society. Thank you so much. I hope I was able to complete in the mentioned time.
Found the unmute button. Thank you, Mohammed. Yeah, absolutely. Bang on time, which is really great. I just have a quick question. Zainab, Sadia, are we not going to present Patrick's project now? Help me, please. I was just looking at our notes for the webinar, and I think we were supposed to present Patrick's as well. Sadia, Zainab? Yeah.
Let me message you.
Sadia? Well, in the meantime, we'll do the Q&A. We'll find out about that. Patrick, if you're sitting there wondering what on earth happened with you and your work, we'll get back and we'll make time for it. In the meantime, we have time for Q&A now until 45. I believe that Sheku wanted to chair the Q&A session. Sheku, do you still want to do that?
Yes, I will go ahead.
Okay.
Thank
Over
you
to
so
you.
much, Jennifer. And we're all welcome to the Q&A session. The project, the two projects that have already been shared spoke about storytelling and also using education in preventing violent extremism. And we could deduce from all the two projects that storytelling actually served as key method for preventing violent extremism. Also, in the education method, it showed that in preventing violent extremism, we need to actually work on people's belief and also improve their social skills while educating them and trying to prevent violent extremism. From the Q&A session, we have a question that says, is there a link to the Pakistan project as well? Yes, that's coming from Alexandra Rice. Yes, the link will be shared shortly concerning the link to the project. And then this goes to the storytelling project. A question was asked that, how effective do you think when people share their stories, it can go ahead to reduce PVE? So Khadija can reduce violent extremism. So Khadija, I don't know if you can go ahead and answer the question. How effective do you think stories that have been shared can reduce violent extremism?
Yeah, I think yes. Only starting to share your story, it means a lot, because it means that you have the courage to share your perspective, your vision with others. It means that you trust in others. And also it means that you are starting to do awareness in your community. So for me, it's really important to use storytelling in order to have our voice with our own narratives. With my respondent, at the beginning, for them, it was even hard to think about their perspectives because no one asked them, what do you think about the far-right party in Italy? No one talks about Islamophobia. No one thinks that it's really important to ask Muslim women how they live in Italy and what they think about the far-right party and how it can affect them as a Muslim women in the Muslim community in Italy, which is a minority. So definitely yes.
Okay, so this one goes to the education and PVE team. A question was asked that, do you think that improving people's skills can actually reduce violence extremism? So either Ali Mahmoud or Ali Raza can go ahead to answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, the question goes that, do you think improving people's skills can actually reduce violence extremism?
Okay, for in terms of my research, I believe it was not about my skills, but it's about information and knowledge. What happened during the research? Once we were getting information from people, there was a question: does your educational institute celebrate religious festivals of other or different religious of different religion? There was most of the people don't know, or they said that they don't celebrate. But at the same time, there was some feedback from that we heard later on, apart from our survey, in the extra comments, that why we would celebrate a celebration related to a religion of a different person. But at the same time, we also heard stories of some institutes celebrating this diversity when they celebrate something related to Muslim community, and they also celebrate something related to Hindu community. So what it comes up here, actually students don't know that it is a common practice, it's a good practice actually to have a diverse celebration, and it's happening across Pakistan. But because they one specific university doesn't celebrate, so the students have this in mind, so that it cannot happen in their university, or they cannot happen into their educational institute. So that's just what I think. It's not about the skills, but it's kind of a in thinking, because it didn't happen in your university in like past 5 years. So it means like you will not follow this, or it will not happen. So it's a kind of thing that the lack of information that is also happening. There are things happening across other institutes that are helpful for them to build inclusion in their university for themselves. So that's I think a small kind of a it can somehow relate to the skills, but also kind of a knowledge and information, and kind of doing something that sometimes feels be a first step that are we doing it first time? So, but it's not, because it's happening across other universities, but some specific university people or students don't know it happens. So that's, if it answers to some level of your question, that skills and knowledge actually contributes in preventing PVE.
Thank you so much, Ali, for the wonderful response. Thank you, Khadija. So I'll hand over to Dr. Jennifer to continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheku and Ali Reza, Khadija. Thanks a lot. Yeah, we're going to continue now. We're still trying to find out if Patrick is going to present, but we'll just fit this in. We'll just fit this in later if he is ready to. And sorry about the confusion. Now, we have heard from researchers who focused on two themes, storytelling and education. And there was a third theme that was covered by our research, and that was mental health. We had two participants who worked on that topic. That's Ali Mahmoud from Lebanon and Regina from Kenya, who you've already met. I'll hand over to Ali to present their projects and speak about their experiences throughout the project.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. So I'm gonna be focusing on a topic which touches every one of us in their daily lives, because it is, especially if you're an activist or someone who's volunteering. So I invite you, I'm glad, I think my camera doesn't have that high resolution, so you can focus on what I'm saying instead of my beautiful face. I will be presenting my research as well as my research partner, Regina Mutiru from Nairobi in Kenya. I'm Ali Mahmoud again from Lebanon. So as our topic speaks about mental health, so mental health affects the way we think, we feel, and we act, as well as coping with things in our life. So it also helps determine how we handle stress. But what if dealing with conflict and violent extremism is part of one's life or our life as well? Mental health and peace building was what was common between my research and Regina's research. We both focused on the importance of mental health for peace activists. So there's a statement in Regina's research that says, "Who heals the healer," which is true. This is the essence of our researches, both of our researches. So in her research, Regina sought to understand the impact, which is the title of her research, the impact of peace work on young women peace practitioners' mental health in Nairobi County in Kenya. She found out that being peace worker doesn't necessarily to have an impact negatively as she had imagined, but also it has a positive impact. However, the positive impact carried more weight. This is good. In this research, young women reported to have improved their capacity in understanding diversity and practicing it, while others reported becoming more empathetic. Peace building field experiences and exposure was the main contributor to these positive effects. On the other hand, some of the negative effects reported were anxiety, alcoholism, lack of sleep, and fatigue. In conclusion, in her policy brief, Regina recommends several measures to be undertaken by employers and governments in supporting employees' mental health, which is critical to the growth. Productivity, and innovation of peace workers. So Regina shares some recommendation in this regard. One is the Kenyan government to develop a framework that guides integration of mental health psychosocial support in peace and security sector. Also, peace organizations to establish supportive and protective organizational culture and include the provision of basic psychosocial support to staff, as well as providing clear guidelines on reporting potentially stressful incidents. Also taking into consideration that the supervisors receiving such reports should be well trained and people whom staff can trust with their information. Moving to my research, in my report, I aim to test the significance of the impact, which again is the title of my research, impact of hate speech on mental health for youth with age 18 to 35 who are active in peace building and interfaith dialogue in Lebanon from different backgrounds. Taking into consideration the economic crisis, what we've been through in Lebanon from Beirut blast and the lack of basic needs currently, there are young people who are still active in believing in peace and positive change. My focus was on hate speech, which is because recent local incidents have conflicts have proven to, in several situations, to be either ignited or inflamed by hate speech. But what is hate speech? I will be presenting the definition which was generated by young activists. It happened 2 weeks ago when I was part of the United Nations Alliances of Civilization Youth Forum, UNAOC. It was in Fez, Morocco. So youth came up with this definition to hate speech. It's the narrative communicated live or through the various digital platforms, whether verbally or non-verbally, in which one or more element of our identity of individual, whether individual or a group, is attacked with hatred or even dehumanized due to belonging to a race, religion, sexual preference, ethnicity, that is to say minorities in general. And its prejudicial form of harnessing from online space, this is important, it harnessed from online space to real life space and become really life-threatening, and this was proven recently in my country. The time youth who are active in peace building, like most of us here, must be, they are the frontliners against violent extremism, and resilient, and they should be resilient enough against such hateful narrative. My research, or the findings in my research, have proven otherwise. Listen to this. My findings have shown that 76% of those active in peace building are affected by hate speech. Hate speech in general. And 60% of these people said that they are affected by online hate speech. Moreover, religion was said to be the most attacked element by most of people I participated in the survey, and mostly youth were psychologically impacted. This raises an alarm to the importance of focusing on mental health and emotional resilience for activists, mainly volunteers in peace dialogue and preventing violent extremism. Some recommendations of mine could be, based on my findings, NGOs that are active in peace building to conduct more awareness sessions on mental health, psychosocial support program, especially topics of gender and mental health, providing and working to develop skills and tools that reinforce emotional resilience, as well as skills and tools to use social media and mainly influencers in combating hate speech. This was our topic, mental health and activism. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Ali Mahmoud, Ali and Regina, really, for conducting the research in the first place, and then for sharing it with us. Really, really fascinating stuff. We now have a final theme that we wanted to present to you, and that's one that looked specifically at the role of religion and religious actors. We had 4 people who focused on that specifically. That's our friend Dismas Masawe from Tanzania, Maman Yashau from Niger, Muti Daba from Ethiopia, and Joseph Tsongo from the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I'll hand over to Dismas now, who's going to summarize the findings for us in the next 10 minutes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jennifer. Thank you everyone for this opportunity. It's grateful to have this opportunity to share with you the research findings from Tanzania, from Congo, from Niger, and from Ethiopia, specifically in the area of religion and violent extremism. You all know that religion can be a potential driver of conflict and violent extremism significantly, though the same religion can be the means to counter the same phenomena. In these 4 countries, I will start by Tanzania, where I did a research in the title that says Assessment of Awareness of Religious Youth Leaders on Violent Extremism in Mtwara, Tanzania. The main objective was to assess the awareness of religious youth leaders on violent extremism in Mtwara, to know how knowledgeable are the religious leaders about the violent extremism, and also to know how the religious leaders
receive the information on violent extremism. The findings of this research indicated that a limited PVE teachings in 2 clerics on daily holy services. The findings also revealed that Tanzania does not openly address the issue, but rather regarded violent extremism cases as a conflict or normal crimes. The government also did not openly reveal the existence of violent extremism, and as a result, the level of awareness of violent extremism on young clerics was very low. Clerics perceived the concept of violent extremism differently, as there was no single clear definition of the term. So due to limited information and awareness, young clerics ended up stimulating the problem rather than preventing. In Ethiopia, Moti Daba had a research title called "A Role of the Interreligious Council of Addis Ababa in Peace Building and Conflict Transformation." The objective was to investigate the role of religious institutions in peace building and examine the perception and participation in light of the challenges and the prospects taken in the case of the Interreligious Council of Addis Ababa. The findings revealed that Interreligious Council of Addis Ababa should engage different stakeholders, involvement to reduce conflict in Addis Ababa, who have a stake in bringing long-lasting peace. However, they face a challenge that knowledge, skills, experience, budget, and peace-building manuals are some of the prominent challenges. In most patriarch and around male leadership, the participation of youth and women in peace-building activity is also limited. So in addition, religious institutions and leaders may also lack professionalism, which to use modern peace-building mechanism rather than emphasis on religious aspects. We had also research in Democratic Republic of Congo by Joseph Songo, which titled "The Role of Religion in Prevention and the Fight Against Community Violence in Eastern DRC." So the objective of this research was to stimulate the debate around the positive role of religion in promoting the culture of active, non-active, and social justice in a context of violent conflict between local communities in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Indeed, many ordinary citizens and actors in the humanitarian development and peace-building sectors in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo recognize the important role that religious communities play in building peace. According to the results of our research, 81% of those surveyed believe that religious domination take advantage of their position of trust and influence to prevent or better fight against community violence in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. And only 18.46% of respondents believe that religious communities do not play their role well in this case. For another point of view, almost all of the religious actors questioned, they say, are open to the idea of collaborating with other local actors and ready to join in the religious programs that can facilitate their collaboration and federate their efforts in the prevention against community violence in Congo. We had also research which was done in Niger by Mamane with the title "Strategies and Initiatives of Youth in the Religious Dialogue and Prevention of Violent Extremism in Niger." The objective of this study was to present the place of the interreligious dialogue and the prevention of violent extremism on the basis of beliefs, in particular through the involvement of young people, so that they can be supported in this role as consolidating peace and preserving security in Niger. According to findings, This freedom of worship is a law of the Niger state, and it needs to the national strategy in terms of worship. The letter stipulates the government's recognition of interreligious dialogue and its promotion for peace and social cohesion. Always the aim of contributing to promoting optimal conditions conducive to stability, the strengthening of lasting social peace, and the improvement of human security. The government has developed its own strategy for the prevention of radicalization and violent extremism. These two strategies recognize the role of youth can play in achieving this social peace, particularly between the different religions of the country. However, the Niger State does not have an organization or initiative entirely devoted to youth in the context of the prevention of violent extremism, in particular through interreligious dialogues. So the existing initiative in the country are all non-governmental organizations and face difficulties in carrying out their actions. Interreligious dialogue is still in its primitive state in Niger. But one thing is certain, young people are beginning to learn about it and realize its importance for the prevention of violent extremism in the role they can of peace building. So in conclusion, or as in recommendation, in summary, I can say it can be a lot there is a lot to be needed. A lot needs to be done on the religious leaders so far, so as to first raise awareness about the violent extremism, have a common understanding about the term violent extremism. There is a need also to conduct in-depth awareness training on violent extremism to the clerics. And two, interreligious councils, together with the other stakeholders, for example, FBOs, CSOs, both local and international NGOs, should advocate and lobby for a change of policies in the government, in the involvement of religion and the religious organization, which are significantly appealing to the communities. And then lastly, religious efforts should be appreciated, empowered to strengthen their role in prevention and fight against community violence. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Dr. Jennifer.
Dismas, thank you so much. And I'm sure everyone on the call is going to agree with me that this was yet another really, really fascinating presentation. We've, in the last two sessions, we've covered mental health, we've spoken about religion, and really like quite a broad range of really interesting research findings that people have presented. We're going to have a Q&A session now, but before we do that, I have good news for you. We have found Patrick and figured out what happened. Yeah, really, really sorry. Apologies to Patrick for skipping him earlier, but he will now get the opportunity to, in just 2 or 3 minutes, briefly tell us about the research that he conducted. Patrick is from South Sudan. His research has focused on South Sudan. So Patrick, you have until 7 minutes past the hour. And then after that, we have another 7 minutes until 1/4 for Q&A. And if I'm not mistaken, it is also you who's going to chair the Q&A session. So please just present your research and then we'll move on to the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jennifer. Good evening, everyone. It is really my great pleasure to join this amazing group of young researchers from all over the world that have invested their time, to undertake different research projects that we are all here gathered to listen to. As already mentioned by Dr. Jennifer, I undertook a research project with a focus on South Sudan. And the reason why I chose this very topic in my home country is because of the fluctuating pattern of conflict which we have undergone through. And for me, it was important to get an understanding, because in the past there has been the narrative which has been painted that young South Sudanese people have been agents of perpetrating the violence that is ever happening in the country. However, very much has been paid to the role and contributions that they have had as peacemakers. So I wanted to explore that and also add on to the literature and on the available information about these important roles that they are currently playing. So as members of society and leaders of the future, I believe that young people are at the forefront of sustainable response to peace and also acceleration of development in the various countries. And in order to create a more sustainable and reliant future, a diverse and inclusive society, creating opportunities for young people to take action towards these sustainable efforts is an essential step. So I decided to focus on the role that South Sudanese young people contributed to the signing of a peace agreement in 2018. And the methodology that I used to collect the data and the information is through having phone calls, because a lot of the central young people who participated in this process are now spread all over the world. We had some that had to leave the country because of political suppression, and they can no longer continue to live in South Sudan. But also, I did carry out a literature review on existing information that has documented their contributions from 2018 up to present. So in total, I had about 10 phone calls with 4 core resource persons. And then I was also able to look at 2 important documents that have had specific focus on the role and contributions of young South Sudanese to the peace process here. So I want to highlight the key findings. And one is South Sudanese young people participated in about 3 different ways. And so I want to highlight one major aspect, which was inside the negotiation room. We saw that young people mobilize in their numbers and through the different political parties, and as civil society, and also as youth delegates, they were able to be absorbed into the high-level revitalization forum, which was convening that brought together the warring parties and other South Sudanese stakeholders. We saw that through their participation in the room, young people were able to advocate, and they were granted the Minister of Youth as a person who will be under the age of 40 years. Young people also at the high-level revitalization forum collaborated with representatives of women for the inclusion of refugees in the negotiation process. So we see another aspect of the young people forming partnerships with other stakeholders to promote inclusivity, and that has been reflected in expanding the participation of young people from diverse backgrounds, which is a very important component in strengthening the peace agreement. And then secondly, we also saw that around the room, young people who did not manage to get inside were around, and they were able to connect with those who were inside the room to influence the negotiations that were happening. So young people mobilized through different networks and coalitions to exert pressure on the parties. the youth ensured that the public had access to the information on the negotiations that were happening. So on different protocols, on different proposals that were being discussed inside, young people around the room became agents of disseminating this information to the general South Sudanese population, which was very critical in eliciting also input from the ordinary South Sudanese people to contribute to framing of how they need to be governed, how they want their resources to be managed, how women should participate in society, how young people should be accommodated during the transitional period. And I think this was a very, very important contribution that they made around the room. And then lastly, outside the room, young people were also able to mobilize themselves through so many rallies that happened across the country and also in neighboring countries.
Patrick, so sorry, but we'll have to stop here. We still want a little bit of time for the Q&A, but thank you so much for sharing this with us. As you can see, another really, really fascinating research project. Patrick, we have 4 minutes for Q&A. Do you just want to take one question? I think there was one in the chat. Patrick? Okay, I'll just go ahead then and ask the question. So it was a question directed at Ali Mahmoud about the definition of hate speech. The question was, which definition did you use? And then also related to that, if there is a hate speech policy in Lebanon.
Yes, thank you, Regina, and thank you, Dr. Jennifer. Starting with the definition, there is in my research, I used 2 definitions. One, which is on the United Nations website, a definition of hate speech. However, in my research, I cared to highlight young people, as I mentioned in my presentation, as a source of knowledge, and I used their definition as well. When I say young people, it was 2 weeks ago, I was in the United Nations Alliances of Civilization Youth Forum, and there was a breakout room with the volunteers and activists, young volunteers and activists from all over the world. And we came up with a definition, with our definition to hate speech, because there's no one definition, as most of you know, there's no one definition or final definition of what is hate speech, but there are some, there are like a drafters. So regarding the second question, does Lebanon have a policy around hate speech? In the law, we don't have directly something related to hate speech. However, Lebanon has signed the International Declaration of Human Rights, which declares which talks about hate speech and other agreements and covenants. However, it's not there in the law. However, it's up to the judge, because it's up to him in a way, because we have what is called in the law libel and slander. So this is something the law, our law, do follow up or punish if it has been breached. So it's all about finding what is the closest to hate speech, or case by case, and as per law. So there might be some cases where I consider hate speech, but the judge might not consider it, and so yeah.
Great, thank you so much for clarifying that, Ali, and thank you to Regina, who asked a question. Apologies again for the confusion about Patrick's contribution. I've just checked and he doesn't seem to be on the call anymore. I'm actually mentioning this because this is quite an authentic reflection on how the work on this project has been in the last 3 months, right? So you can see that participants are from all over the world. If you conduct a project like this with participants literally from 3 or 4 different continents, the most straightforward option of doing that is, of course, to do it online, and we did that. Right, it's the smallest cost available. We also didn't have any visa issues this way, because just imagine bringing people from all over the world into one country. If you don't have a Western passport, that can be quite difficult, right? Because of a lack of visa privilege. But even when you conduct a project like this online, there are still considerable barriers, like a reliable internet connection, which everyone does not have. So we have been working with this amazing group of people who are so motivated and so skilled and knowledgeable about the topics they have been working on. But there are barriers, there are real barriers that stand in the way and that make it difficult for young people and for faith actors to contribute to these discussions. And that's a really central part of the project, right? So we focused on PVE, youth and religion for exactly that reason. Because we know that a lot of approaches in this area, they're very top-down. They're often led by states or international organizations rather than civil society. And youth and faith actors in particular tend to be sidelined. We also know that quite often the marginalization of young people and of religious actors in these spaces actually causes harm, right? So we start out because we want to prevent one bad thing, and quite often actually end up causing harm in other ways in other areas. So that was really one of the premises that this entire project started from. That's why we wanted the research capacity sharing aspect, because we wanted to give these young people who are so knowledgeable and so skilled, we wanted to give them an opportunity to build their research skills and to establish themselves well, as experts, they were already experts, but then to build this credibility in the eyes of those who usually sideline and marginalize young people and religious actors. It was also about giving them an opportunity to actively participate in knowledge production on PVE and on violent extremism and conflict, which again is another real problem that we're facing. There are too many big organizations, international organizations, that when they want to do research on PVE or conflict, they fly in an international expert from abroad. And when we say international expert, what people usually mean is a white Western expert, okay? And we wanted to challenge this, we wanted to counter this, and we wanted to give the people who are most affected by this issue an opportunity to produce research themselves, because they can do it, and they have shown this in this project. I am really excited, I've mentioned it already at the beginning of the call, I'm really excited to very soon see the research papers out. They will be on our website, keep an eye out for that. And we as the JLI team, we will also be putting out 2 publications. One policy and practice brief with some of the learnings from our project. What does it look like when you organize a research capacity sharing project that focuses on PVE use and faith, and where you work with a group of researchers that is literally spread out across 3 or 4 continents. So what happened with Patrick right now is very typical of how the project has been going, and that's just one of the realities that you have to deal with if you want to work in this way. I see that Patrick is back, and we're so glad to have you back, Patrick, and sorry that I had to cut you off earlier. but we still wanted to have some time for the Q&A. And now also for a few words to be shared by our partners at GIZ and iDove more specifically. So some of you might know that iDove is an initiative led by GIZ, the German Development Agency, and the African Union that focuses on PVE use and faith. We're very thankful for the support that we got from iDove. We're very thankful for the funding that we received from GIZ. And yeah, our friends Muna and Elena from GIZ, they're here on the call today. Elena is very cold, that's why she's wearing this big scarf. Seems to be a bit better wherever Muna is based. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to the two of them who will be sharing some closing remarks with us.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And also thank you to everyone. I'm super excited to be here, and I was really looking forward all the week to this event and looking forward to listening to all the excellent research projects, which I think are of utmost importance. So thank you very much for giving some insights into your work. I think it's, especially nowadays, it's super important when hate narratives and extremist ideologies are on a fast lane. It's important to connect, to be connected as young, motivated, and reflective peace builders like you are. And I'm super impressed that by the work that you're doing, by the challenging work in challenging contexts, and that you're standing up to this and won't accept hate narratives in your communities. And I think that all your projects really show the great creativity and professionality that you all have. And I was also impressed, and it showed me again how complex the field of PVE is by the wide range, seeing the wide range of topics from mental health and peace building to intergenerational storytelling, also to religion and PVE efforts. So yeah, I'm deeply impressed by that. Before I conclude with some closing remarks, I wanted to give the word to Elena, who is our wonderful intern at GIZ and who attended some of the sessions with you and wanted to share her experience.
Yeah, hello everybody from my side as well. I already had some ideas of your projects and of your work, but I really love to hear and see what you have done the last 3 months. I really love the team spirit you had in all the meetings I joined. It wasn't that much, but the meetings I joined, I had the feeling of a very warm and very welcoming team, but a lot of fun, but also very supportive team. And you asked very good questions and the right question for everybody that they can be being forward with their projects. I really love this team spirit you had, and I hope you can pass forward with all the projects you did and you enjoyed the experience. And I'm very sure that you did all the best you can, and it's so great to see the results of your projects and that you're so motivated. And it's also motivated myself for all the products, for all the projects I will do in my future life. So yeah, I would say I hand it to Mona.
Thank you, Elena. Yeah, I think Elena just touched up on that, but I wanted to say again that for iDove and GIZ, and especially our sector program on religion and development, supporting a research project like this was very crucial, because we know how important it is also in the field of PVE and peace building to inform our actions, to gather evidence, and to contribute to developing knowledge in this field. And who would be better suited for this than you? I mean, you're doing the work on the ground and you're the experts, as Jennifer said before. And I do think that your research is not only a tool for building knowledge and facilitating learning in the communities, but it also means that you're helping others in the field to understand context-specific issues and increase public awareness, which is really, really important. And I do think that societies worldwide need motivated researchers and change agents like you, who are able to collect own data and produce knowledge. And it is my sincere wish that the world will listen very carefully to what you have to say, and that your knowledge will inspire other peace builders and policymakers and researchers. And I can also only say I'm very inspired. And we are sure that thanks to the great collaboration with GLI, you have the right tools to collect data and present your research and measured outcomes. And we wish you the best of luck with this. So we want to thank all the participants for being so motivated, regardless of any individual challenges and difficult circumstances that you may have faced. And we, from the iDove Secretariat, we will do our best to assist everyone who wishes to support a peaceful coexistence in their communities. And I also, of course, want to thank all the persons behind the scenes who made this great project possible. So thank you very much, dear Jennifer, Zainab, Sadia, Rima, and Susanna. It is really a great pleasure to work with you all, and thank you for all the efforts that you put into this project. I am also really impressed by your organizational skills and your creativity and all the knowledge you have around research and PVE. So thank you very much for making this project a success story. And with this, I hand over back to Jennifer.
Oh, thank you so much, Mona, for your kind words. And I can really, I really return the good wishes and the thanks. We've also very much enjoyed working with you colleagues at GIZ and iDove. It's been a great partnership. Thank you also to our superstars of of the day, of all our wonderful participants in the project. You are beautiful people, and it was an absolute pleasure to work with you. We look forward to continuing to work with you because we are planning to continue working with this group of people. We at GLI, we work a lot through what we call shared learning hubs, which are basically groups of researchers and practitioners who meet regularly to share evidence, to produce evidence together. And we're planning, hopefully early next year, to set up a conflict hub. And at GLI, we always focus on questions like international development, peace building, humanitarian action, community work, with a focus on faith and the relations between faith and secular actors. So that's also going to be the focus of the conflict hub. It will be a conflict and faith hub. We're really excited to be continuing to work with you, to learn from you, to develop new research with you, and to continue disseminating the research that we have produced. GLI is, of course, also interested in hearing from everyone else. So it's really, you can just, it's really easy to join GLI, and anyone can just do that. It's for free, it doesn't cost a penny. I think the link to our website where you can join as a member is in the chat or will be there in a minute. So yeah, stay in touch. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you to all of you. I've thanked Mona and Elena. I've thanked the participants. I'm thanking my team as well. They were wonderful. And of course, all the attendees in the audience. Thank you for making the time on a Friday afternoon or evening. And I hope you stay in touch, and I hope to see you at one of our future events, maybe at one of the hub meetings. It would be lovely to hear from you.
Thank you and bye. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Great
Bye-bye.
job.
Hope to see you in person next year somewhere.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
You made
Bye.
it, guys. You made it.
Bye.
Hi, Maman, our Sheikh.
We are fine.
Oh my God.
Okay.